Hello ROGI members, we weren't able to have our April meeting or our May meeting, and our June meeting is not going to happen either. So instead of all of those, we're doing this video which will be our virtual autumn winter meeting. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm John, and I'd like to introduce you to the plant of the month, which is snow pea. But there's many varieties of peas, but I love the snow pea. Good for stir fries, and into salads is great. This one, actually, I got the seed from a fellow ROGI member, Colin, and so I've called them Colin Specials. And they're just starting to make pods now, so I can't wait. Haven't tasted them yet, but then I've got another one over here which I really love. This one is called Shiraz. As you can see, it's a purple pea. Got it from Jill, gave me the seed from the club, and I'm really excited because of the purple looking colour. These are so lovely and mauvey and pink. I'm very excited. Okay, that's about it.
We had several events planned before we had to stop everything, so we missed out on our popular garden visits. However, we can have a virtual garden visit. Rhonda is here walking us through her garden in Cleveland.
Hello, Rhonda Binns here, and welcome to my garden. We have been here approximately 18 years now, and in that time I have strived to improve my soils with compost. So now I'd like to take you on a tour of my garden. And like all good gardens, we start with compost, good soil. That one's almost finished now, and we're building this one. Mulberry there in pots, pawpaw coming on, the lemon verbena's coming back again after its little trim. It's got rocket growing in the bottom there. Asian lettuce was attacked big time. A couple of sprays with the dipel and molasses, and it's coming back beautifully. And in this bed, we're growing cabbages, kale, a couple of different types of tomatoes. Then we have the dwarf jicassi. So it looks like that it's going to be harvested very, very shortly. That is my worm farmhouse with 2 worm farms in there. The asparagus bed has been overtaken by the passion fruit. And the Maya lemon in the background there. Still got plenty of lovely juicy fruit on them. Basil, kohlrabi, dill. The lettuce in this bed is almost finished. It's been so lovely. And another bed we have spring onion, society garlic, all types of rainbow chards and spinaches, celery, and a lovely Villa Franca lemon. About a month ago, I took 117 off that and put them in the bin. When you cut the flesh, it was brownish, and I believe it's a boron deficiency. I have turmeric and ginger, and my acha tree. It's about 4 years old, hasn't produced anything yet. Allium's in there. Mint, which has been attacked by tiny green grasshoppers. So at night time we put the little waste paper bin on it like that to protect it. More bananas here. These are the Cavendish variety. That's my little companion, Spotto. What have we got here? Cherry tomato, the little lemon drop one, and Chinese scallions, spinach there. I have several subtropical spinaches, and there's peas to grow up on this framework here. Red Russian kale and Cabello Nero, pawpaws, ginger there, and harvest a little bit of that out. I like to grow it in pots so that it's easy to tip out rather than dig into the ground. And beetroot, it's a jabotic carver, which I have to fight the bats for a feed. I'd love to know how to net it safely and share it with them. A curry tree. My blueberries, which have just been repotted and trimmed down. So, there's my little backyard garden that I love to spend a lot of time in. Much better than housework. That concludes our tour. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you from Spotto, my little photo bomber, and myself. Bye for now.
We have had one inquiry from Jill Nixon, our president, who has contacted me with regard to her Tangelo tree, which has a bad case of scale and black sooty mould. This scale is a bug that actually taps into the trunk of your trees and sucks the sap and produces the honeydew, which the black sooty mould then proceeds to feed on, causing the leaves to go black and mottly. The traditional way of dealing with scale insects in organic farming is to spray with eco-pest oil, and this smothers the scale. A lot of people complain that they sprayed scale with pest oil and it didn't have any effect. The problem with that is that they probably did a one-off application, whereas this is something that needs 3, maybe 4 applications to deal with the scale, because the hard shell of the scale protects underlying nymphs and new scale coming through, and so they're not affected by the initial application of the pest oil. Other ways of dealing with scale include spraying with neem oil and also with the chili, onion, garlic homemade pest spray. These can both be effective, but again require repeated application. Personally, I prefer to let nature help me, and one of the ways of doing this is to actually get some of the good bugs that love attacking insects like scale. Good bugs are available from places like Bugs for Bugs, where you can buy in some of the larvae from lacewing bugs or lady beetles, both of which love devouring scale and mealybug and aphids. The problem, if you choose to go this way, is that you can't have sprayed with any of the neem oil or the garlic sprays, because they will impact negatively on the new bugs that you've got coming to help you, as well as the scale.
Another good tip is to sprinkle diatomaceous earth around the base of the tree to prevent ants climbing up the trunk. Also make sure that no other part of the tree touches anything around it so that the ants can't gain access.
So, if you are having problems with a pest attacking one of your plants and you don't know what it is or how's the best way of dealing with it, then drop us a line or through the ROGI Facebook or an email to Jill or myself and explain the problem, explain what actions you've taken so far to try and deal with the problem, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible, as well as covering it on our next plant clinic.
This is my gold sweet potato plant. I planted this, well, here's the label, on the 16th of June 2019. But look at these in here, they're really jammed in tight. It's better to plant them in a tub, because then you don't get escapees, you get the whole lot. If you've got it in the ground and you leave just one little piece in the ground, you end up with sweet potato forever. So what I'm going to do is put a tarp on the ground and tip it out. The leaves can be eaten by us, but they're not in very good nick, these ones, because they've been eaten by other critters. But you can just throw that whole thing into the chickens. Now, it's part of these will be right to plant again when they shoot. You've probably all had sweet potato in the cupboard with shoots on it. You can plant them, and this is nearly 10 months later. It's not a bad crop. I thought I'd weigh this full bucket and see how much we've got. So that looks like 5 kilos.
Hello, I'm currently building a vertical garden out of pallets. Vertical gardens are very popular these days, but the problem I see with off-the-shelf units is the size of the receptacle for the plants. They seem so small that they're very limited in the type of plants you could grow in them. I'll be using 2 techniques that hopefully overcome that. I have painted the pallets to try to extend their life. I've used up old tins of paint before giving the front a uniform colour of paint. On the front I've removed crossbars so that I've only got about 3 or 4 beams across each at the front, and so that's where the plants will hang out. The first thing I'm going to do is staple this black plastic as a protection against the wall. I will line the inner part of the pallet with shade cloth. I'm now going to fit the irrigation pipe. I'm going to be using this drip irrigation pipe, which has these drippers about every 300 mil, and they deliver about 2 litres per hour. So I'm going to use that to weave in and out of the pallet. And I've already pre-drilled a few holes so I can pass it through. Nearly finished fixing the mounting rails to the back of the pallets. This is where I plan to place the vertical garden. Okay, I'm now going to mount the mounting rails to the wall. Well, I've got it all assembled up against the wall. I made the mistake initially of trying to plant up the top pallet and then erect it up against the wall and later adding the lower pallet, but it was so heavy that I had to pull it all apart and start again. To use ice cream containers and fruit juice bottles. Both these hold around 2 litres of growing media and should be adequate for the type of plants I want to use. Now what I've done is in both containers I've drilled holes in the bottom, but up the side a little bit, so that I can get a little bit of a reservoir down the bottom. I've prepared my mixture and I thought I'd do a pH test. Strawberries prefer a pH of between 5.5 to 6.5. This seems to be 6, so I think I'll leave it at that. If I do need to give it more acidic nutrients, I've come across this product called EcoFish, which is a liquid fertiliser, and it has got a higher acidity than a lot of other products. Through Bunnings it was a special order and it wasn't easy to come by. And then fill with a mixture of potting mix and coir. So I've pretty well finished my vertical garden. Just have to wait for all the plants to settle in. But anyway, this is pretty well finished.
Hi, John here again, and this is the seed of the month, which is peas. We talked about in the garden, snow peas, but there's lots of different peas. Being in the Seed Saver Club, we collect the seeds, and other people can grow them. Why they're so good is because they grow they're grown locally and they adapt to the area they're growing in. Also, Jill was telling me you've got golden podded snow peas, green feast, sugar snap, sugar Ann, and Oregon sugar. So I've got to try, she's got the seeds there, I've got to get there and try a couple of them. They sound really interesting. I'm going to show you now of the seed mixture. So you start off with a good seed raising soil and then perlite, but I've already mixed, that's a mixed bag of the seedling ready to go, and some Reptomite, which you can either put into the mix, or as Gennaro does, he spreads it on top of the seed when he plants it on top of that. But this one I added, this is called zeolite. Not many people know about it, but years ago I've come across it and I've still got a little bit of bag left, and this is actually crushed volcanic rock. It holds onto moisture and nutrients, and so that stays in your garden forever. Oh, I nearly forgot. So start off with the coir peat. That's got to be put into a bucket, soaked into 9 litres, and it breaks up. Put that into a wheelbarrow, and should end up with some lovely seed mix, which would look something like this. Be very careful of when you're planting seeds is sterile. Be clean always. When we get our pots, get them washed and don't have any soil left from the time before. And hopefully you should then end up with lovely strikes. Planting the seeds, okay, with just for today's, I've got dwarf beans. I've already planted my giant mammoth snow peas, but same thing. So we fill up the tray, level that off, and the simple thing of grabbing the seeds and popping in, press it down firmly, trying to keep the air out around the seed. So then we just top that up again, and when I take it outside, I will then just give it 1 drink of a light mixture of sea salt. Don't forget the name tag and the date. As you start to grow different vegetables and seeds, you don't know what date to put on, what they are, who they are. But as you see, we're in my garage. Usually would be outside on my seed table to plant. But I think I'm getting a good success from Colin actually mentioned about putting the light on. So each night I come along and I put the tray under the light. So it stays on there. So it gets 24 hours light, and I am getting quicker results. One little thing I found, I've got solar, but I've got a battery, and this battery actually warms the garage up. So I just bought a good old temperature gauge, and I noticed that it doesn't drop below 20 Celsius. So we've really got a sort of a humidity hothouse for quicker germination. I learned a lot from the Seed Saver section of ROGI, so please join, it's very informative. And happy gardening. See you next time.
Members of ROGI's Seed Savers group save seeds from their own gardens, and they're available for you for free. We also have our seed bank, and it's got a lot of seeds in it at the moment that are suitable for this time of year, for winter. So have a look on the website and see what's there and get in touch if you need some seeds. Also, Plant Clinic. Rowan's happy to answer your questions. So if you've got problems in your garden, get in touch either via Facebook or through our website, and we'll see what we can do to help you with that. So that's all for now. Let's hope the next time we see each other it's at a ROGI meeting or a garden visit or a field trip. Happy gardening!